How would I do that? Do I have to walk?
You get there early enough to where there's no parking issue.
You can walk.
Thank you, Mr. Marks.
I will not entertain that
All
motion.
right.
Wow.
I guess,
Commissioner McBoyd?
I had a few things. I appreciated, Ms. Sharp's comment on the halfway houses that expressing some hesitation that we proceed with caution. I've heard too from residents some concerns. I'm not familiar with what our legal situation. I think if we do anything, we should address not the concept of halfway houses necessarily, but any problems that are found occurring. And you know, the concept may be perfectly fine and it may in fact be improving certain things. But it may be something that I've heard enough comments that we may want to keep an eye on it in some fashion. But I appreciate the urging of caution and compassion. I'm a little concerned with Mr. Hill's comments about the city manager being unresponsive. I would hope that we would try to approach it more positively, but I think the city manager is trying to get back to people, but I guess it's a heads up to us. Apparently somebody's not hearing back as much as they'd like. Let's try to do what we can. And I appreciated Mr. Perilla's comments on the development at 6th and F. I will try to attend that meeting and learn a little bit more about it, so I appreciate the information on that. As far as Ms. Lindsay's comments, is there any way, I know that we've approved the consent agenda, but I too would feel it somewhat valuable to hear the Electric Utility Board's comments on item H. I don't know whether we have a mechanism to do that, but.
I don't know, Pam?
The commission would have to entertain a motion to waive the rules, to reorder the agenda, to remove an item from the consent agenda for discussion.
I have a question.
Vice Mayor?
Is there a written recommendation or something from?
Can I ask a question with a question?
Sure.
This is not the in-house energy conservation program, you realize that?
This is not the,
This is not the in-house version that we're talking about at the UAB. This was a federal Department of Energy grant that we used money to make certain improvements among the county facilities. And it also involved, I think, the CARTS, the CART tracking system for recycling, things like that. It's not the same program I think you're thinking of.
my mistake, Mr.
And I
City
would
Manager,
never
my
bring that
mistake.
forward without, matter of fact, I have a meeting with the chairman of the EUAB this Friday to talk more in depth about
I
that
only
program.
mentioned it because Clay said that it was gonna be on the agenda tonight, but clearly I
It's a
misunderstood.
different, this is
Never
the
mind.
federal grant.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I thought there was a mix up.
Moving right
Okay, you got it.
The other one,
Reel it back.
Ms. Lindsay's other comment, again, I don't know how procedurally to address it, but I think she's right that if we are going to discuss a 5-year plan on electric.
I was planning on having public comment, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I didn't even think about not having. Commissioner Amoroso?
Going to the L Street lot, I would assume that
Yeah, we can bring the report
we're
forward.
looking at renewing that and the numbers that we're actually, because I questioned that before, the numbers we're actually making in that lot based on what we're spending. Evaluation, I would assume that's coming, your evaluation or your thoughts, you know.
Right now.
Right now. Do it, Mayor.
Two-way traffic at the beach, I too have a lot of concerns. Up there almost every morning working out and walking, and there's a lot of issues. I met with PDSO today and addressed it with Mike about some signage and things that can ease it right now. I think we all know who made those decisions, when those decisions were made, but we won't get into that. Rehab, I've had lots and lots of discussions with Williams Department on rehab centers. It seems to be that gray area because our ordinances in the past included rehab and halfway houses, and it's that gray area, so I'm still looking into that. I get a lot of calls on that. And as far as item H, it's concerning to me that Ms. Lindsay brought this to us tonight, and if there were so many concerns, even though we've identified it to be a different issue, if something's on the agenda, you can call us, you can email us, you can call us, you can talk to us. Something like that, if indeed it was the true line item, and it was a discussion on that, it should have been pulled or at least discussed, if the other boards are concerned about it. And I didn't get a call or hear from anyone. So that's concerning to me, that if there's something on our agenda, that there's more information that the public feels we need, but nobody bothers to pick up the phone and call, and it comes at this point, it could have easily been addressed prior to that.
Any other comments? Vice Mayor?
Sure. On the issue of the halfway homes, I think at the end of the day, we're relatively limited in what we can do. I think really what we can do is just make sure that these homes are well maintained, they're in compliance with the code, whatever. I think we all need to start looking at Tallahassee for this issue, and that's being taken up this year, this legislative session. It's a priority for the Florida League of Cities. They are actively pursuing some sort of remedy or some sort of, framework to make these halfway out homes more, to be more perceived as compatible, or whatever the concerns, the various concerns in the various communities can be. So we really need to keep an eye on Tallahassee and, talk to your state legislators and tell them how you feel about this, because it's definitely going to be a hot topic this year at the legislative level.
Commissioner Zerdy?
I think that the layout up there, and again, like I said, it was the design of the layout for the parking flow at the beach. It's flexible to go back to being one way. It could go and be that. The main thing that happened up there is those two round circles allows you to close off the section between the casino and the ocean, so you can have events up there and people can still go and turn around if you do want to have that happen. I was kind of disappointed that was still done in asphalt between that and that stretch, because it would look better to be some other kind of, originally it was a concrete, that was going to make it feel like a plaza space, just connected to the beach. But there's nothing to say that it could just go back to remaining a one-way, I guess, which was kind of habitual here, just to get up there and go and head back north and leave. So that could still be done quite easily. It just depends on input like we're getting, incidents.
City Manager?
The difficulty we've had, and this has been an issue leading up to its opening and through the construction, because we've all heard repeatedly. The bottom line is getting the work finished by the contractors, not triggering a bunch of change orders or delays in the project, and then finding the money to do the changes. Changes are very easy to talk about, and we've tossed them around the staff about doing the one-ways, but it does involve certain costs and things we have to identify. So all that's being considered. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's not something that you willy-nilly just fix doing that. And sometimes we do that, but we're not to that point just yet. So there will be changes. I anticipate making a lot one way, but we have to get some things under our belt first and finished before we can actually implement that. So you're going to hear people complaining for a little while longer.
Also, someone went in there, they didn't know some of the rules there, they backed in and got a
They
ticket.
backed in.
But we have only a couple signs.
We get complaints that, why are the benches in the weeds? All these things, there's a lot of things that people aren't familiar with, that's actually how it's designed, or these things were put in there a couple of years ago, and we need to get it finished. We need to get the contractor and everything out of the way and finish the project before I recommend making substantial changes. And then any changes you make are gonna cost.
Commissioner Mercer?
Just real quick, the conversation I had with PBSO today was trying to address some of the signage as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Two-way traffic, we came up with suggesting that, there's a sign on Cloister Park, if you go over there, there's a no sign. No this, no that, no this, just so everybody has clarity. And, we changed the ordinance to allow dogs on the beach. Dogs are allowed at the beach, but they're not allowed on the beach. So we can do a lot of these signs in-house to let